Hey everybody, welcome to another fantastic Friday with Dannphan. The streams where we just chat about whatever, the equivalent of the just chatting section in Twitch, but with less porn. So, god damn it, just got my stream demonetized. So how's everybody doing on this this amazing, fantastic Friday? We got Michael in chat, Ryan, we got the usuals. Do you think Dannphan has a love-hate relationship with YouTube? Absolutely. But you're asking what other people think, I guess. If so, she should diversify Rumble and BitChute options. Adam has a Rumble account. And we do the Gamefan stream. And we also stream that, we like, what do they call it? Where you do the split streaming to two different platforms. We do that with the Game Fans channel. We use Rumble for that. Rumble is not very good for video format though. Granted, I do a lot of streams like these, so maybe that's a thing. BitChute. I had a BitChute account. I think I deleted it. I think I was really frustrated with BitChute for some reason. Something about the uploading that was glitched out, so I got frustrated and deleted it. It's a little bit frustrating in general. There are a lot of YouTube alternatives, but they're not very polished, and so it becomes more and more difficult to use them. But it is what it is. You just kind of, for a lot of things, you just kind of have to wait it out. Surprised she found Steam Boy of all things at the thrift store. That was the cheapest one too. You know, like, I still have the DVDs up here from when I recorded my video. They were just sitting around. For thrift store prices, these were kind of expensive, not gonna lie. Like, Psychic Squad, this was $14.99 at a thrift store of all places. Like, a used Psychic Squad DVD, $14.99. This was more expensive. It's $18.99. My god, getting close to the original price at that point. And then Steam Boy, the cheapest and the best one, was $5. Oh, sorry, it's $5.99, so it's like $6. But that's shocking that the best of the bunch would be the least expensive. I don't know if that has to do with, like, how do they grade these things? Does it have to do with how often the DVD was watched, in what, like, condition the disc itself is in? Or do they go on eBay and just see which one is listed for a higher price? Because I genuinely don't know why the Psychic Squad and Tower of Druaga were so much more expensive than Steam Boy. Is it demand? I don't know. But yeah, the thrift store that I went to specifically for those DVDs, it was one that was dedicated to media. So like DVDs and books were where they focused on. So that's why they had anime and they also had manga there. But the manga was basically like the same price that you get it when it's new. So it's kinda pointless to go to the thrift store to buy it there. It was basically the same price. It wasn't really discounted that much, so I didn't end up getting any manga. Because I might as well buy it brand new, you know? But you know how it is. I'm really glad that people enjoyed the thrift store anime reviews though. You know, because it's a new type of video that I could do a lot of. But very often when I do a new type of video, it's like this huge swing that I'm taking. And very often I swing and I just whiff, you know? Just not a hit. Nobody likes it. Or at the very least, nobody says that they like it. Lucky for me, that was not the case with the thrift store anime. A lot of people said that they liked it and wanted to see more videos like that. So, very happy that the video did not completely bomb. Thank you guys. I'll be going back to a thrift store, perhaps even a new one, see if we can find more anime to review. And that'll be, maybe that'll just be a regular thing. I'll just keep on finding more and more anime DVDs. At some point, I know I'm gonna accidentally pick up a hentai. It's gonna happen, but you know, that's just part of the ride. That's just part of the roulette that we're playing here. But yeah. People also liked the thumbnail. I'm glad. I'm glad. I thought over that thumbnail for a while. Because at first I was like, I was just gonna edit the screenshot from Freerun. Edit it to look a little bit like me, but then I was like, man, why don't I just redraw this? Or just draw over it. And I did, and it looks better. And it didn't require that much effort. So it's like, oh, why don't I just always do this? To make my thumbnails a little bit more pretty by adding new art. New art. Even if it's just like super memey thumbnails. It works! It works! I also got a bunch of Freerun fans joining the channel because of the Freerun video blowing up. So it makes sense. It all the pieces coming together, right? Yeah, who doesn't have a love-hate relationship with YouTube? Very fair. Very fair. That ain't thrifty. No, they really upping the price. I think maybe some of those DVDs were like $1 off of the listed price. Yeah, I do like the idea of more video reviews of thrift store anime and manga. Yeah, let me... I mean, I guess I could do thrift store manga as well. That could be like the spin-off. Do 2 different types of thrift store videos featuring anime and manga and maybe comics, if they have any, I guess. Reaper drawing with stream was cool. Glad you liked it, Yeshua. I'm going to try to keep those more consistent because that's something that I can do to put out content on the YouTube channel while also still working on the comic itself. I am a little bit behind where I thought I would be when it comes to working on the comic. Part of it is just me second guessing myself a lot, which is, you know, that's on me. That's my fault on that one. I'm a little bit too maybe anxious when it comes to making decisions because I'm drawing pages for the campaign to show off, right? But then I'm also drawing panels and other pieces of the comic to show for the trailer, which I'm going to do. And there's a lot of, you know, second guessing in my brain, like, oh, am I even gonna put this panel in the trailer? Am I wasting my time by working on it? Should I move on to this other panel? You know, like my brain just bouncing around all these different pages, not knowing which one I should be, like, finishing. That's why normally I like doing my comics chronologically. Because then I don't have to do all this second guessing, like, oh, which panel should I work on? Ugh, I hate that. If I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't do it. I didn't do that for the first Reaper book, I just worked on it chronologically. But I also had a big head start on the first Reaper book, whereas I didn't with this one. This one was a slow startup. And the draft that I'm even working on was not the original draft. It's another funny thing. It all ties back to when I lost my hard drive, right? I actually had a completely different draft of Reaper Book 2 that I had started. I didn't finish it or anything, but I had started a completely different draft for Reaper Book 2 when I had my old hard drive. And I had this big, grand plan in my head that I was gonna be so far ahead with these Reaper books before even the first campaign came out. That didn't work out. It didn't turn out that way, but it would have been very cool if I really far ahead when it came to having written all of these different books. But instead, I looked at once I was done book 1, because I had an old draft saved, I just popped that back on. And then I had to restart the draft from Reaper Book 2 from the beginning, and it turned out better than the first draft. The first draft that was gone forever. So, you know, it all works out in the end, but whew, so many things that you can lose on a hard drive. Guys, please back up your stuff. Just remember. And then I guess we have to yay, minimal effort. Oh yeah, in response to the thumbnail. But yeah, and then some comic read-throughs. We have some more comic read-throughs to do. So at first I was going to do the DCYA of Blue Beetle, because that's the one that my friend was like, this is the worst one of them all. So that's that's big hype, first of all. To say that the Blue Beetle DCYA is the worst of them all? Of the DCYAs? Like, that's crazy. That's very exciting. But I haven't done a DCYA read-through in a while now. Unless you count Avengers account. Well, that's not really DCYA. Unless you count Nightwing, I guess. Maybe that's DCYA-ish. It's adjacent. But it's not like real in the gutter DCYA, you know? It's not the one that they're trying to push into Scholastic. Nobody's trying to push nothing but Nightwing and Scholastic, so it doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. But I figured I should ease myself back into it if I'm going to start reading DCYA again. So the next one that I actually think I'm gonna read, instead of the Blue Beetle, I think I'm gonna read The Strange Case of Harleen and Harley. And I'll go over this again when I do the video, but for those of you who don't know what the deal with that DCYA is, it's a retelling of the Harley Quinn origin story, but instead they did a Jekyll and Hyde thing with her. They decided that she would have a split personality instead. And shenanigans ensue. They mess it up, as you can imagine, because that's the only reason why it would end up in DCYA, is if they had a bad writer on board. Wait, so you redrew everything you lost? Oh man, have you never heard that story, Michael? It's a tragic story. So, I lost my hard drive back when I was working on Horizon Quest, actually. Oh god, this must have been like 3 years ago or something. The years start to blur together after a while, but yeah, I was lost the hard drive when I was working on Horizon Quest. And that was before we even announced that we were doing Horizon Quest, so nobody knew. And instead, I pivoted to working on something different, because I wasn't sure if I would be able to get the files back. We were trying to see if somebody could recover their hard drive. They couldn't. They disappeared on us. They just ghosted us completely. So we don't have it anymore. We don't even have the hard drive. That's how bad we lost everything. So instead I ended up working on It's Not Like Getting a Job Will Kill You, which was a one-shot comic. And I worked on that because I couldn't work on the other projects that we were trying to do. And then, yes, eventually I had to use an old draft of Horizon Quest and re-ink everything. Because I had finished inking everything previously, but it was all gone. Just poof. Nobody knows what they were missing, because it was before we even announced that we were doing the project. But, yeah. So when we finally announced that we were doing the project, I was redoing everything from basically scratch. It was like a super old draft, but, you know, the inking work is really where all the effort gets put in. The draft is just like a bunch of thumbnail sketches, essentially. And Reaper Book 1, a very early draft of Reaper Book 1 was also on that hard drive. Because I was writing it kind of alongside inking Horizon Quest. The first time I was inking it, anyway. And, yeah. So I had old drafts of Horizon Quest, an old draft of Reaper Book 1 that was just kind of on Google Docs somewhere. So I didn't completely lose everything, but lost all the important stuff at least. I guess it all turned out for the better, because at least when I went to do the art, I was a little bit more experienced, and I could draw it slightly better. I will probably redraw Reaper Book 1 all over again, just because, you know how it is. Art is never finished. Yes, back it up. Always back up everything. You're damn right. But you know what? Now everything is backed up. I have a backup service that's just constantly backing everything up. It drives me crazy sometimes, but that's how it goes. And yeah, everything is in order for now. Thank goodness. Yeah, Corrupted Elden Ring save taught me that one. I had that experience too with a corrupted, not Elden Ring though. It was a corrupted Code Vein. It was a Code Vein save file that got corrupted right after I was done like this complicated puzzle section too. So redoing that level again was like, ugh, can't remember what I did in the first run through versus the second run through. Every memories getting crossed with each other. Big pain. Yeah, good lord, I would have had a nervous breakdown. Oh, I did. Yeah, no, I didn't take it well, but you know, life goes on, as they say. Yeah, gotta, oh, back up everything onto Clip Studio Cloud storage now. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess Clip Studio does have some sort of storage thing. Hello, GamerDude23. What kind of book are you writing? Well, it's, right now I'm working on a dark fantasy series. It's comic-based. Working on book 2 of that, at the moment anyway. I'm sure there will be other future comics as well. I gotta find a better way to organize this whole space. That's one of the things I'd like to do for like spring cleaning, is just reorganize a little bit and maybe add some different decoration or something. I don't 100% know yet, but something, a little bit of moving things around here would be great. But anyway, we've gone over some video plans. We've gone over why you should always back everything up. I guess now we should go over recent news. Is this how we want to do it? Recent news. Well, I tweeted out about this one thing. Where did it go? Oh yes. CBS is going to dip into live-action adaptations of anime. CBS, of all places, is going to put their hand in the cookie jar. Let me share this. So, can't say that I'm really excited about this. I'm not a big fan of the Netflix adaptations anyway, in of itself, but now CBS wants to start doing this too? How successful really was Netflix's One Piece anyway? I mean, I know that it gained a bunch of new One Piece fans who wanted to check out the original, but I don't know, did it really merch that well? you know, I guess I have seen a couple people running around with like Netflix branded Luffy straw hats. But I could see people buying those just because previously there were not very good cosplay straw hats to use. And I think that the Netflix branded ones actually look much better than the... You know what I mean? Because, hang on. Maybe I have the hat somewhere around here. Give me a second. Ugh. Like this. These are the cosplay hats that people would buy if they wanted to do like a Luffy thing, right? But these are like bright yellow as fuck and bright red as fuck. And you know they made it because like in the anime they turn up the saturation like to the millionth degree. But it's wholeheartedly like unrealistic and strange looking in real life. So you want to like tone down that saturation a bit. And because live action understood that it was not supposed to be like uber bright in real life, they have a little bit more realistic and nicer looking straw hats that they're selling. So I could, even if, regardless of whether or not people liked the live action, I could still see One Piece fans buying the Netflix straw hats. You know what I mean? Just because they look nicer than this. So I don't know if I count that as an exact win, but... Ugh, sorry. I don't have good organization of stuff over here. Work with me. But yeah, how successful really was One Piece, you know? Netflix One Piece gets a B for me. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. No, I kind of felt the same way. I did a review of each episode, which was a little bit awkward, especially because I was working with a different editor at the time. I wasn't editing them myself. And, yeah, I didn't think it was worth all the hype, and I was really surprised to hear that a bunch of normies, for lack of a better term, you know, people who weren't into the anime, I was really surprised to hear that they liked it. Because the pacing of the first episode was, like, terrible. But I kind of walked away from that being like, okay, it's fine. Like, compared to the other live-action stuff that Netflix had put out there, it's significantly better. But is it the best thing ever? Nah. I don't know if I'd go that far. But yeah. So, they want to do live-action Claymore. And... like, what? How did they pick these people to work on it? You know what I mean? Death Note co-producer, specifically Deathniks. Yeah, that's what it should be called. Netflix's Death Note co-producer. Why though? Of all people, everybody hates Netflix's Death Note. Alright, well, I'll read the rest of this article because I actually haven't really dove into the nitty-gritty. Let's see. In partnership between CBS and Shueisha, production house Propagate Content. Really? That's what you chose to call your production house? That's a choice. Okay. Okay, so joining Oka in the series' executive producer chair will be Propagate Content's Ben Silverman, Howard T. Owens, and Rodney Farrell, with Shueisha also said to be directly involved in yet to be specified capacity. Which basically means they're just gonna nod their heads and be like, yep, anything goes. Money, please. Alright, head writer yet to be found. But who knows? Decision comes amid renewed interest in live-action manga adaptation. It's... Ugh. Ugh. How many failures happened before they got one that was a little bit successful? You know what I mean? You had Death Note, complete and utter failure. Cowboy Bebop, complete and utter failure. And then what? One Piece did well because everybody was like, "Eh, it's not as bad as the other two," and you think that's enough? That's enough for you? It's like, they said it wasn't as bad. Wow. I mean, come on, guys. It's still risky. It's still risky to do them. I'm just saying. Alita was good. The adaptation movie for Alita, that was a good movie. That was a movie, granted. It's not a TV show like what they're trying to do here. That's a little bit more difficult to do. And it also didn't come from Netflix, so that helps. And I did hear that they're working on an Alita movie sequel. I assume, and I know maybe this is the pessimist part of me, but I just assume that the Alita sequel will not be as good as the first one. Yeah, maybe that's just the pessimist in me, but like I know the contents of the manga, and I feel like you really need to be very good to be able to adapt the rest of the manga, because the first arc is kind of fairly easy to adapt because it's focused. After that, Alita becomes very unfocused, and I do wonder, like, okay, well, where would James Cameron take this? And I just assume he'll be focused on environment or something above all else, but who knows? Like I said, maybe it's just the pessimist in me. I do know they ruined the fuck out of Death Note. It's just... Anyway. Alright. The series will attempt to preserve the action and complex moral dilemmas. Oh, I've heard that word before. I've heard this one before. Excuse me, teacher. I know what that means. Oh, fuck. I already having PTSD flashbacks of the fucking... the moral dilemma of Frieren, yes. Oh, what's that? They kill demons? Oh, can't have that. That's very problematic. You should never kill anything ever. That's insane. How could they? Big moral dilemma there. Oh, jeez. Oh yeah, Cowboy Bebop was easy to adapt, and they really fucked with that one, didn't they? That's a good point. I think I made this claim when I made I did one video on the Cowboy Bebop thing, and then I never touched it again. I only watched the first episode, and I was like, yeah, obviously I'm not watching more of this. I compared scenes for like how they did it in the anime versus how they did it in Netflix. And Netflix went way more cartoony and ridiculous and stupid with the scene than the original anime. And I was like, okay, so they have no idea what they're doing. And that's it. That's all. Live action Claymore's already trying to kill Trisha. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's why. Because you see, how many of you watch my shorts? I've done like one short on how like the stupidest part of the Claymore anime was how they shoehorned in this, if you kill Priscilla, you're no better than the Yoma. and it made no sense. Obviously, that is not how the manga ends. Obviously, they kill Priscilla. Obviously. Stupid! Anyway. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to spoil it for people who have not finished the manga. But to be fair, it's a pretty old manga. You had time to catch up. So I hear moral dilemma here on this article here, and immediately I'm thinking, okay, so is this where we're going with this? Are we going with the Claymore anime headcanon that you're not supposed to kill Priscilla? Are we going the demon poster direction with this thing? Yeah. Not liking that. Don't like how that sounds. Let me see. Okay. Alright. Did they have anything else to say? Because this is just going over... Yeah, this is just going over what the manga is about. But yeah, you can also kind of sense that perhaps they're going to go a feminist route with it. Since the Claymores must be women, right? Because the men, they lose control over the Yoma demon stuff or whatever. So I feel like that's just kind of a given that they're gonna go feminist route with it. Like I said, I don't mean to have a particularly pessimistic brain. I apologize, but you know, you start to recognize patterns after a while. And then they just keep proving you right by continuing this pattern. So at this point I expect it. Yeah, I was watching the anime, so I guess I should switch to the manga. I started watching the anime, yeah. I started off watching the anime, and then I got to the end of it, and I was like, well, there's no way that's how it actually ends in the manga. And sure enough, I picked up the manga, and no, it's not how that ends at all. But, yeah. Every character will be black, you know it, I know it. Yeah, they did, even One Piece, the most diverse anime of all time, they still could not help Netflixifying it. Oof. They just like changed the races of characters that you would not normally be paying that much attention to, like background characters. So, but I think that they're going to Netflixify it even more with season 2, based on what I've heard, and start like race swapping main characters as well. Because that's just how they do it. Gotta Netflixify it. But yeah. Yeah, I bet one person saw a badass female character, and that's as far as the thought process went. No way they saw the body horror stuff and thought, we could do this in live action. Oh yeah, you think they're gonna, like, you know, that part of the show, you think they're gonna just cut that out entirely? I would expect them to, actually. I would partially expect them to just, like, not mention that, or just decanonize that. But, you know. Yeah, Netflix can't help themselves with changing characters. Absolutely right. Netflixify. That's the new term for what they did. Because it wasn't even just race swaps. They did gender swaps in live action One Piece. But, you know. Netflix wanna Netflix. What can I say? At least it wasn't that noticeable. It wasn't as bad as the other live action adaptations. I can say that much. But, you know. Berserk live action. I'm listening. But Griffith will be the hero, and Guts is an asshole. Watch, just wait. You're really stirring up the Griffith did nothing wrong people, aren't you? No, they're out there, and they will support that. Yeah, no, I get it. Autocorrect. That seems like a mistake I would also make. Yeah. Imagine live action Berserk. No, wait, never mind, not a good idea. No, I could totally see them doing that. Are you kidding me? With, like, the popularity of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, they would totally go for a live action Berserk. I don't think they could do it, though, because I think, and, you know, once again, maybe I'm just doing a big whiff with this one, but I think that the publisher cares way too much about the integrity of Berserk to allow it to be bastardized in a live action adaptation by Hollywood. I don't know if that's a big swing, because obviously they didn't feel that way about obviously Oda didn't exactly feel that way about One Piece, but Berserk is different. Berserk has like this special hierarchy on a pedestal. Not only because the original mangaka has passed and you need to like respect his memory, but also because it was like this big, grand artistic achievement. Like, many people look at Berserk as like this huge masterpiece of not only storytelling, but art, you know? And so that, to an extent, really needs to be preserved, and the best way you preserve it is to not allow some bastardized adaptation to happen, especially before the manga has even finished. God, who knows how long it's going to be until that manga finishes, right? There's only like 4 new chapters every year or something like that. So if that did happen, I could only see it happening like after the manga's finished. Counterpoint, Berserk 2016. But that was still within Japan, right? I think it was, anyway. Let me look this up. Because I think I vaguely remember there was like a whole... There were people making whole entire documentaries on Berserk 2016. It was supposed to be, obviously, much better than how it turned out. But it was something with the animation studio that got fucky-wuckied. Well, the wiki article is not giving me the information that I want to know. Yeah, it's not showing me the production. Weird stuff. Okay. Gemba and Pins. I would never be able to pronounce these, obviously, but they're both Japanese. Is the point that I'm trying to make. So it's still within their country. They're still giving their own people work. And the hope is that they will also care about representing this art piece, and they will do a good job. Obviously, that was not the case. That was not the case. And people had quite a voice of concern when Berserk 2016 came out, and it did not look very good at all. They received a lot of backlash for Berserk 2016, which I think confirms my point that they would not let that happen again, or that they would not want that to happen again at the very least. And then there's the fan animation of Berserk, and that has a lot more hype around it than Berserk 2016 would ever get. But they were at one point trying to prevent the fan animation from coming out from Studio Eclipse. I think they sent like a cease and desist or something. And I think then they had some sort of sit-down meeting with the people behind it, and they worked out some sort of deal. I think that the fan animation is still happening. That's quite an impressive piece, by the way. Quite an impressive project is really what I mean. When you're just doing an entire season of an anime because you're a fan of the manga, super impressive. And it looks really nice based on the trailers that they've showed off. So hopefully we will see that soon. But my main point is that they saw someone taking their property who is not based in Japan, and they worry, like, oh no, what are these people doing? And it also makes me think, okay, well, are they themselves, is there like some behind the scenes production happening? Do they have plans to also make a Berserk anime? Are they gonna reboot it? I don't know. I don't know for sure. But there's a lot of conversation to be had in that realm. On the subject of adaptations, I do think Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender gets a passing grade. They do really good in the middle parts, especially with Zuko and Iroh, but the last episodes really lowered it for me. Yeah, well, the big complaint I hear about the Last Airbender adaptation is that they removed a lot of character development, especially with Katara. Like her just all of a sudden knowing how to waterbend. That's a shame. I understand to some degree why they do it. On one hand, it's because they're trying to save time, because they're adapting a boatload of episodes into like these really quick episodes where they're just like blam 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 going all over the place, right? And they don't want to spend the time to actually build up a character. On the other hand, is because of feminism. You know it. You know it. It's because of feminism. They want to be like, oh, she's strong. She don't need to try. No try needed. She's just born special. That's how they always write badass female characters for some reason. They're just born powerful or something. I don't know. Don't make any sense to me, but what can I say? Yeah, I haven't actually watched The Last Airbender. I wasn't interested in it. The basic consensus I hear is that it was better than the movie, at least. If you remember the M. Night Shyamalan movie. But it was still not as good as the show. And it's like, well, that's fine. Because I watched the original show, the original cartoon, I should say, and I enjoyed that plenty. So, no need to waste any time watching the live action then. That's how I figure anyway. Let's see. Was there anything else that I wanted to bring up? Was there any other topics? I feel like we already went over like a bunch of stuff fairly quickly. Of course, we could be on the topic of live action adaptations for a million years. That never gets old. Yeah, it was better than the movie. Some parts were really cool, but yeah, just a passing grade. Not good. Yes. Yeah, it is really frustrating when they don't give any female characters depth, because it does make them unlikable. Even if they're not actively being unlikable, there's nothing that you can connect to with them. Like, there's no relatability there. And that in of itself will make a character unlikable if you don't relate to them. That's a big issue. Oh, that's something that's happening, right? The new live-action Snow White movie. That was another topic of discussion. That was... Yes, so that's not out yet, but it will be out really soon, right? What is it, March 20th? Something like that. And I hear that they canceled the premiere or something with the two main actresses. Did you guys hear about that already? Yes, so Rachel Zegler obviously is a nightmare for PR, and they've been trying to shut her up basically about the Snow White movie ever since it was ever since the first round of backlash. They've been trying to shut Rachel up. Or maybe it was the second round of backlash, because she got multiple waves of backlash. Girl just wouldn't stop, you know. And then additionally, Gal Gadot, they don't want her to be around promoting the movie either, because she's Israeli, and they don't want to touch the Israel and Palestine thing. And Rachel is free Palestine, so that's a whole other different tension between them. Very drama-centric, really. It's honestly more interesting than the movie itself. It's just the drama that went down behind making and promoting this thing. So much production hell, and it's all publicized. A lot of production hell does not get as public as the Snow White production hell has gotten. But like, they did all these changes to the script. The main actress was like being super rude and snarky for all of the PR material, saying that they were gonna like cut an actor out of the movie, and she's like, that's Hollywood, baby. Fuck. It's terrible, terrible behavior. And then there was the thing with the dwarves where they're like, oh no, it's not politically correct to have dwarves. Better switch them out for magical creatures. And then they found out, oh wait, people actually like the dwarves? Fuck. Gotta fire all of those actors and replace them with CGI dwarves. It's just so much money just wasted on this movie. And there's no way it could possibly make back the money after they've been like just burning pile after pile after pile of all this money. No, you're done. You should have canceled it years ago. This has gone way too far. I would have definitely preferred if they had canceled the movie. Honestly. I know it is very entertaining to watch the fire burn, but for all of our sanity and morality, you should have canceled the movie. It's too much, you know? Thanks for the super sticker. Sadly, I can't see it on StreamYard, but I'm sure it's super cool. But yeah. Lord Farquaad and the Seven Dwarfs. You know it. You know it. For sure. But yeah. There are a bunch of people who would never see the movie to begin with just because they casted Rachel Zegler as Snow White. And that was really... that was enough for me to be 100% sure they would never break even on the movie, because of how much people didn't like the casting of Snow White. I mean, she's like a rude person, personality-wise, and then additionally, she's not German. She's very not German. Not even close, you know? But, yeah. It is what it is, at the end of the day. They really wanted to stick to their guns and release this movie. So, no matter how much we all said, no, it's still gonna come out. It's how it goes. But, that's fine, because I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch other people watch it, and I'm gonna grab my popcorn and see how bad it turns out. I feel like after The Little Mermaid they had to. Oh, because The Little Mermaid was like a Danish story. Yeah, it's just like, it's too parody-like of political correctness that you have a princess who's named after her appearance and you still race swap her. That's just too comedic. It's just too silly. As much as people want to be progressive, you really need to ask a lot of them to not laugh at that. You know? Everybody knows that it's silly. It's just how it is. But yeah, they couldn't admire defeat. Yeah, it is what it is. And then people were talking about the Stitch trailer. I did not sit down and watch the entire Stitch trailer. I've mostly just seen clips going around online. The trailer itself looks pretty okay. But I also know that they are designing a trailer to make the movie look as good as it possibly can look, right? They're trying to reel you in and make you think that it's going to be a good movie. So I'm always suspicious of trailers. It's especially bad when they can't even make the trailer look good, as was the case with something like Snow White. But I'm still, despite the fact that the trailer looks fine for Stitch, I'm still not gonna watch it. I like the animated movie. I don't have to watch the live action version. And I don't really think that they're gonna add that much to the live action version that I really need there. You know, I feel like, for the most part, the animated movie already has everything that I need there. But you know how it is. The Lilo in Stitch live-action trailer seems to have had notes used after how bad previous live-action remakes were. Yeah, well, it's easier because, let's see, I don't think they race-swapped any characters. It was just one gender swap, right? Bubbles? I believe they switched out for a different person. And I think she's like a woman now. I think Bubbles. I don't know why. I don't know why that happened. But I think that was the only case where they like swapped. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that Bubbles got switched out of the live-action Stitch, and I don't think that they showed that in the live-action trailer because, you know, people like that character, so they're like, oh, better hide this. Better not let people know. Nah, Bubbles is still a dude, but he's skinny. Oh, did they go back on that? I remember people, like, being upset because, or maybe they just added in a character. Yeah, okay, I see. So they still have Bubbles as a black guy. Well, that's good, at least. He is skinny. He's skinny and old. But, at least he's the correct gender and color. That is helpful. There was talks originally, I swear I'm not making this up. There was some sort of leak or talks about them making it like an overweight woman be the person checking in on Lilo and her sister. And they might still have that character, but maybe she's just an add-on rather than a replacement. But yeah. Very, very interesting with that. And really, it kind of goes to show that if you want to make people happy, you just don't fuck with the things that they like. and then they'll just be they'll just be satisfied. People are not as picky as I think Hollywood thinks that they are. Honestly. Like, literally all One Piece had to do was a scene-by-scene remake of like different scenes from One Piece, or a shot-by-shot remake of different scenes from One Piece, just in live-action form. That's all they had to do, and people would clap super loudly. That's it. Audiences are not nearly as picky as Hollywood pretends that they are. They just don't want you to fuck with things that they like. That's all. They just don't want your shitty writing and politics inserted into something that they like. It's very easy. Yeah. I think that most people are actually very easy to please. Not toxic, just very passionate, perhaps, you know? Guess wait for another trailer for this one. As of now, seems like live-action Lilo and Stitch will not be shit. Yeah. It's such a simple story to tell in general. It's a simple and wholesome story just about a girl and her alien dog. It should be pretty easy. I was surprised though for like the animated sections when they show like, you know, the Stitch breaking out from I struggle, I guess it, but you know, the space station prison. The aliens did not look bad, you know? At least for the little bits of clips that they showed us, the aliens didn't look that bad, CGI wise. I don't like Stitch in CGI. Gotta be honest, I don't think he looks fluffy enough. I think that his fur itself looks more like grayish blue rather than that deep blue, and I'm not a huge fan of how that looks. Like, I think they need to, like, mess with the color of his fur a little bit more. Maybe make him a little bit darker blue. Because there's something about that shade of blue that they're using that I don't like. But he also does not look very fluffy. Make him more fluffy. Just a suggestion. Just make him more fluffy. I want more fluff. But, yeah. There's my little tidbits on Lilo and Stitch live action from what I've seen. Yeah. Thank you. I've hated CGI Stitch, but I've been alone on this island. No, when they first showed off CGI Stitch, everyone was like, kill it with fire. But now I guess because they put it up against a fancy trailer, now people are okay with it or have gotten used to it or something. I don't know. I think they could do more work on Stitch's design. They won't. They probably won't really mess with it now that the official trailer has come out, but I don't know, you could always get like a... Yeah, no, they won't. Not that they couldn't, they won't. Because not enough people are upset about it like they were in the Sonic trailer, right? But yeah. Anyways, we're actually at the end of the hour. Yep. Hour is up on this Friday with Dannphan. It actually went by pretty quickly. We talked about a lot of stuff. So good stuff though. Good conversations all around. Glad to have discussed all the video topics and the many live action news that we're getting left and right? And of course talking about Reaper stuff. Ooh, I hope I finish that trailer soon. I should be working on it. I'll start working on it soon. Honestly, I should have already started. Instead, I'm just like overthinking everything always. So, yeah. Thank you for joining me on this fantastic Friday with Dannphan. Hang in there, because it's going to be a little while until the next video gets out, but the next video will be a read-through. And, Yeah, and then you can look forward to more thrift store anime reviews. Maybe even thrift store manga reviews if I find thrift store manga. We'll see. That was a hiccup, don't worry. I'm not gonna throw up, I swear. It was just a hiccup. Anyway, good night everybody, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully, I'll see you Tuesday for another drawing stream. Until then, thank you everybody. Bye!